Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with a look of a past release from WWE DVD Past. This one is, of course, called The World's Greatest Wrestling Managers. In this DVD, you take a look at some of the behind the scenes of the greatest wrestlers. Sometimes guys need a mouthpiece. There was a lot of things back in the 80s, especially in the 90s, where wrestlers had managers that would come down to the ring. Of course, like Jimmy Hart there, he managed like 1,000 tag teams. Miss Elizabeth was the man behind Macho Man Randy Savage for a small time period. She was with Hulk Hogan as well. Freddie, Blassie. Everybody can remember Jim Cornette, manager of a lot of tag teams as well. You think about his run in the WWF where he was with, Vader and Yokozuna. And not Vader and Yokozuna. I guess he had Vader in his stable as well, but Yokozuna and Owen Hart was where I was originally going, and Owen and Davey. And a lot of things like that back in those 90s time periods when Jim came into the WWF. Of course, you've got Paul Lee, a guy that still is doing the managing gig. And with the success that Paul Heyman has, I don't know if that Vince doesn't believe that a lot of guys can do what he does. But, for having him out there at the ringside, with Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, and even that short time period with Cesaro, you would think that he would want to bring somebody, maybe even a past wrestler. I can remember Mark Henry. He had, what was that guy's name? The guy that would laugh on that damn show. Come out and be his manager for a short little while. I don't know why he wouldn't bring more guys back like that. But there we see Sunny, who is in the news as today. But she doesn't even really look like the Sunny that I remember now. That's kind of weird. Her back in the day as the Bonnie Donnas. We see rest in peace there, Paul Bear. We see Bobby Heenan, who is going to be at WrestleCon again this year. We see Sherry, who's passed away. And then we see Captain Lou Albano down there at the bottom. A lot of great names from Wrestling Past. As we open this up, it came with a few heritage cards. We see Bobby Heenan, Freddie, Blassie, Jimmy Hart, Paul Bear. I guess I could show this off real fast. I was just thinking about this. I got this DVD signed by Jimmy Hart at the WrestleMania ticket party last year, WrestleMania 31 in Santa Clara. What an awesome day that was. Nothing really big on the disc there for you, but you look at the chapters, goes in depth on all of the wrestlers that they had, what makes a good manager. Freddie Blassie, the Grand Wizard, who is an awesome manager. If you see some old stuff from him back in the day, you should have put him on the cover. He's probably one of the best looking managers they've ever seen. Freddie Blassie, Grand Wizard, the mouthpiece. Sonny, Jimmy Hart, Todd Grisham on the megaphone. Then we see woman managers, Paul Bear, Arnold Scotland, the previous wrestling experience, Sensational Sherry, Jim Cornette, Todd Grisham, Swinging Away, The Art of Cheating, Paul Heyman, Captain Lou Albano, Managers and Matches, Ms. Elizabeth, and Bobby Heenan. When you look at that one chapter right there that's called Managers and Matches, that's one of the things that, really, sort of makes me think. If you remember, Bobby Heenan was the guy who would put the weasel suit on and he'd wrestle the Ultimate Warrior. Bobby Heenan, who basically set out on a personal feud with the Big Boss Man, who the Big Boss Man would run through everyone inside of the Heenan family before finally getting his hands on Bobby Heenan himself. There was a lot in wrestling, especially with Jim Cornette, who was like a mama's boy who'd always run his mouth, who he knew if any of the wrestlers ever got their hands on him, they'd kill him. But, you would go through months of, this guy pestering these guys before they finally got their hands on him, and that's when they would really get their ass kicked. Some really cool extras on here. You see Captain Lou against Arnold Scotland there from 77, Heenan versus Greg Gagne in a weasel suit match from 1980. Jim Cornette versus Paulie Dangerously in a tuxedo match. That's from WCW 1989, Great American Bash. Then we see Vince McMahon interviews Freddie Blassie and Nikita Koloff. Tony Schiavone interviews Jim Cornette, the NWA World Championship Wrestling from 85. We see Fuji Vice with Mr. Fuji. How was he not listed up here? Good God, you think about some of the greatest managers of all time. Fuji, freaking awesome. I didn't even think about him as I was reading all those names off, but Fuji Vice with him and Don Morocco. Then we see Vince McMahon interviews the Grand Wizard and Bob Duncombe. We see Mean Gene Okerlund visits the Hart Foundation. Bobby Heenan wins the 1976 Manager of the Year Award. Captain Lou Albano wins the 1985 Manager of the Year Award. Larry Nelson interviews Paulie Dangerously. Randy Savage in Miss Elizabeth's wedding video. Sherry visits the funeral parlor. Then we see Bruno Sammartino interviews Arnold Scotland. They don't really go in order of year here. And then what's that last one about Happy Birthday? We see Sonny sings Happy Birthday. Probably a lot like Marilyn Monroe back in the day. But we see the back here. They just go over the names again. Nothing really big on here. A few of the matches are emphasized. I'm guessing that this DVD didn't sell all that well because you don't really hear about it talked about. But I'm glad that I got it in my collection. Picked this one up for probably a couple of bucks used on Amazon. You have a good few hours of watching.